In a quiet veterans hospital, a young black boy hidden by his mother in the night shift break room secretly slipped out to visit a grumpy old patient, bringing him a cookie as a small gift. But when a strict nurse discovered this, Noah was immediately kicked out of the ward, and his mother was threatened with losing her job. A few days later, the old man suddenly passed away. Noah stood silently in the empty room, eyes red with grief, when a group of high-ranking officers unexpectedly rushed in, asking for the kid with the cookies and carrying a message that left everyone stunned. Before we dive deeper into this story, let us know where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe for more heartwarming stories every day. Noah's sneakers squeaked against the hospital linoleum, the sound echoing down the empty hallway like a warning. He clutched the brown paper bag tighter, feeling the warmth of the oatmeal cookie inside seep through to his palm. 3:30 p.m. Right on time, the hallway of St. Jude's Veterans Hospital smelled the way it always did, bleach trying its hardest to cover up something sadder underneath. Sickness, maybe. Or just old age giving up. Noah had gotten used to it over the past 3 months, the same way he'd gotten used to a lot of things that 10-year-old kids shouldn't have to get used to. Room 214's door stood halfway open. That was wrong. Jack never left his door open. He said it made him feel like he was on display at the damn zoo. Noah's chest tightened as he pushed the door wider. The room was empty. Not empty like Jack had gone down for tests. Empty like nobody lived there anymore. The vinyl mattress sat bare and cold, stripped down to its institutional blue surface. The metal bed frame looked skeletal without blankets. Even the window blinds hung crooked, half broken, like they'd given up trying to keep the afternoon sun out. No grumbling voice complaining about the food. No hacking cough that sounded like it came from the bottom of a mine shaft. No Jack. Noah stood frozen in the doorway, the paper bag crinkling in his sweaty grip. His legs felt like somebody had filled them with wet sand. Noah? His mother's voice cut through the fog in his head. Baby, what did I tell you about lingering near patient rooms? Ellie appeared at the end of the hallway, pushing her janitor cart. The mop bucket rattled, sloshing dirty water over the side. Her faded blue uniform hung loose on her thin frame, and her name tag sat crooked like it always did after 8 hours of scrubbing floors. She looked exhausted, the kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. Where's Jack? Noah heard himself ask. His voice came out smaller than he wanted it to. His mother's face changed. Her mouth pressed into a thin line, and she glanced back down the hallway like she was making sure nobody was listening. She parked her cart and walked over, her rubber-soled shoes making soft thuds on the floor. Noah? She crouched down in front of him, bringing herself to his eye level. Her hands smelled like industrial cleaner. Mr. Porter, honey. He passed away early this morning. The words hit Noah like a fist to the stomach. He heard them, understood what they meant, but somehow his brain refused to process it. Jack couldn't be gone. Jack was supposed to be here, complaining about the hospital food, and telling stories about baseball games from before Noah was born. Jack was supposed to be waiting for his cookie. But I brought. Noah held up the bag stupidly, like somehow showing his mother the cookie would change things. Ellie's eyes went soft and sad in that way that made Noah's throat hurt. She reached out and squeezed his shoulder. I know, baby. I know you liked him. She glanced at her watch and winced. Listen, I've got 2 more floors to finish before my shift ends, and you need to stay in the supply closet like we agreed. Okay? I can't have you wandering around right now. Not today. Noah nodded, not trusting himself to speak. His mother kissed the top of his head quickly and went back to her cart, wheels squeaking as she pushed it toward the east wing. He stood there for another minute, staring at the empty room. The paper bag felt heavy in his hand now, like it weighed 100 pounds. What was he supposed to do with it? Throw it away? Eat it himself? The thought made him feel sick. That's when he heard it. Boots, heavy boots with hard soles, hitting the floor in perfect rhythm. Thud, 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 getting louder. Noah had spent enough time in this hospital to know that sound didn't belong here. Nurses wore soft shoes. Doctors wore soft shoes. Even the security guards wore sneakers. These boots meant something different. He turned toward the main corridor just as Director Henderson came into view, walking backward. Actually walking backward. The director's face had gone the color of old newspaper, and his hands fluttered in front of him like confused birds. "General Sinclair, if you'd just called ahead, we could have arranged a proper meeting. I assure you we have protocols for—" "I don't care about your protocols." The voice that cut him off could have been carved out of granite. Then Noah saw him. The man was tall, not just tall, but tall in a way that made everyone else look like children. He wore a military dress uniform covered in ribbons and medals that caught the fluorescent light. His silver hair was cut sharp enough to draw blood, and his jaw looked like it had been chiseled out of the same mountain as Mount Rushmore. Behind him, 5 more officers in uniform walked in perfect formation, their faces unreadable. General Reese Sinclair didn't look around the hospital like he was visiting. He looked around like he owned it. "I'm looking for Jack Porter's room." His voice filled the entire hallway without him raising it even a little. "And I'm looking for a boy who brought him cookies." Noah's heart jumped into his throat. He pressed himself against the wall, trying to make himself smaller, trying to disappear. "Sir, I'm afraid Mr. Porter passed away this morning, and as for any visitor we don't typically track." "The hell you don't." General Sinclair's eyes swept the corridor like searchlights. They locked onto Noah's mother, who had frozen in place halfway down the hall, her hand still on the mop handle. Ellie's face drained of color. She looked at Noah, then back at the general, then at Noah again. Her whole body went rigid. "You." The general started walking toward them. Each step was measured, deliberate. "You're wearing a St. Jude's uniform. You work here." It wasn't a question. Ellie swallowed hard. "Yes, sir. I'm on the custodial staff." "Your name?" "Ellie. Ellie Carter, sir." Something flickered across the general's face. Surprise, maybe, or recognition. He stopped 3 feet away from them, and Noah could smell his cologne, something expensive and sharp. The man looked down at Ellie like he was studying a puzzle he couldn't quite figure out. "Carter." He repeated the name slowly. Then his eyes dropped to Noah. "And this is your son." Ellie moved fast, stepping between Noah and the general, like she could protect him from whatever was coming. Her hand found Noah's shoulder and pulled him behind her. "Sir, if there's been any kind of problem, I can assure you my son hasn't done anything wrong. He waits here after school while I finish my shift, but he stays out of the way. He doesn't bother anyone." "Doesn't bother anyone." The general's eyebrows rose. "Ma'am, I'm not here because he bothered someone." "Then why?" Ellie's voice cracked. "Why are you here?" Director Henderson finally caught up, huffing and sweating. "General, perhaps we should discuss this in my office. I'm sure we can clear up any confusion." The general held up one hand, and Henderson's mouth snapped shut like someone had flipped a switch. The 5 officers behind Sinclair stood perfectly still, their eyes forward, waiting. "Young man." The general looked past Ellie, directly at Noah. His voice softened, just a little. "Were you the one who visited Jack Porter? The one who brought him cookies every day at 3:30? Noah's mouth went dry. His mother's hand tightened on his shoulder, her fingernails digging in through his t-shirt. He could feel her shaking. He wanted to lie, wanted to say no, wanted to run back to the supply closet and hide behind the mops and bottles of floor wax like he was supposed to. But something in the general's eyes stopped him. They weren't angry. They were something else, something Noah couldn't name. "Yes, sir." His voice came out as barely a whisper. The general stared at him for a long moment. The hallway was so quiet Noah could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. Somewhere down the corridor, a machine beeped. A phone rang at the nurse's station. But everyone in the hallway stood frozen, waiting. Then General Reese Sinclair did something Noah didn't expect. He nodded slowly, and the corner of his mouth twitched, not quite a smile, but close. "Then you and I need to talk," he said. "Both of you. Because Jack Porter left something behind, and I think you're going to want to hear about it." 3 months earlier, Noah had learned the 3 rules his mother hammered into his head every single day. Rule 1, be invisible. Rule 2, don't cause trouble. Rule 3, never ever bother the patients. The supply closet on the 3rd floor measured about 4 feet by 6 feet. Noah had pasted out. Metal shelves lined both walls, stacked with bottles of industrial cleaner, boxes of latex gloves, and rolls of paper towels. The chemical smell burned his nostrils if he stayed in there too long, making his eyes water, but it was safe. Nobody looked for kids in supply closets. Noah sat cross-legged on the concrete floor, his math homework spread out on a flattened cardboard box. His backpack served as a pillow when he leaned against the wall. A small flashlight, the kind his mom kept in the car for emergencies, cast a weak yellow circle over his worksheet. School ended at 2:45. The bus dropped him at St. Jude's. By 3:15, his mother's shift didn't end until 10 p.m. That meant 6 hours and 45 minutes of being invisible. He'd gotten pretty good at it. The problem was the smell. After about an hour, the bleach and ammonia fumes made him dizzy. His head would start to pound, and his stomach would flip over. That's when he'd have to sneak out for air, just for a few minutes, just until his lungs stopped burning. Today was one of those days. Noah cracked the closet door and peered out. The hallway stretched empty in both directions, fluorescent lights humming overhead. 3:45 p.m. shift change. The nurses would all be clustered at their station, trading gossip and patient notes. Perfect timing. He slipped out and pressed his back against the wall, making himself small. His mother had taught him how to move through the hospital like smoke. Stick to the edge. You walk slow, don't make eye contact. If anyone saw him, he was just going to the bathroom, just heading to the vending machine, just waiting for his mom, just invisible. But as he passed room 214, he heard something that made him stop. What the hell is this? A voice like gravel in a cement mixer. You call this food? I wouldn't feed this slop to a dog. The crash of a tray hitting a table made no flinch. He moved closer to the door, which stood slightly open, and peeked through the gap. The old man in the bed was all sharp angles, elbows like coat hangers, shoulders like a wire frit. Under his hospital gown, his white hair stood up in wild tufts, Einstein style. But his eyes burned with something fierce and alive, completely at odds with his skeletal body. A young nurse backed toward the door, her hands up in surrender. Mr. Porter, please. The kitchen prepared this specially for your dietary restrictions. Dietary restrictions? I'm 90 years old. What's it gonna do? Kill me? The old man grabbed the plate of pureed something or other, and held it up like evidence in a trial. I fought in Korea. I built a business from nothing, and this is my reward. Baby food? Sir, I'm just trying. Well, try harder. He set the plate down hard enough that it rattled. Or better yet, try somewhere else. Get out. The nurse practically ran from the room, nearly knocking into Noah as she burst through the door. She didn't even notice him, too busy wiping tears from her eyes, as she hurried toward the nurse's station. Noah should have left then, should have headed straight back to his closet. That was the smart move, the safe move. But something held him there, his eyes still pressed to the gap in the door. The old man, Mr. Porter, sat slumped in his bed now, the fight seeming to drain out of him all at once. His hand shook as he reached for the spoon on the tray. He got his fingers around it, lifted it halfway to his mouth, and then the shaking got worse. The spoon clattered back onto the plate. Damn it, the words came out quiet, defeated. Damn useless hands. He tried again, same result. His jaw clenched, and for a second Noah thought he might throw the whole tray across the room. But instead the old man just pushed it away, and lay back against his pillows staring at the ceiling. That's when his head snapped toward the door. I know you're out there. His voice cut through the silence like a blade. I can hear you breathing. What are you, some kind of vulture? Come to watch the old man fall apart? Noah's heart jumped into his throat. He should run. He should definitely run. The door swung open wider, and the old man's burning eyes locked onto him. Well, Mr. Porter's eyebrows rose. You gonna stand there gawking, or you gonna say something? This ain't the circus, kid. Scat. Noah ran. His sneakers squeaked on the linoleum as he sprinted back to the supply closet, yanked the door open, and dove inside. He pressed his back against the shelves, his heart hammering so hard he could feel it in his ears. That evening, when his mother finished her shift at 10, she found him in the closet still working on his math homework, or pretending to. The numbers kept blurring into the image of those shaking hands. "You okay, baby?" Ellie crouched down, her knees popping. "You look like you saw a ghost." "Mom," Noah hesitated. The angry man in 214. What's wrong with him? His mother's face tightened. "You went near the patient rooms." "Noah, what did I tell you about? I didn't go in. I heard him yelling." Ellie sighed and sat down next to him on the floor. Even though Noah knew her back was killing her after an 8-hour shift, she smelled like disinfectant and sweat. "That's Jack Porter, or Grumpy Jack as the nurses call him." She kept her voice low. "He's the meanest patient in this whole hospital, Noah. The nurses draw straws to see who has to deal. 3 quit last month because of him. Why's he so angry?" "I don't know, baby. Some people just are." She touched his cheek. "But you need to stay away from him, understand? I can't have you causing problems. I need this job. We need this job." Noah nodded, but that night, lying on the pull-out couch in their tiny apartment, he couldn't stop thinking about those trembling hands, about the untouched plate of food, about the way Mr. Porter's voice had cracked when he said, "Damn useless hands." The next afternoon at 3:45, Noah stood outside, room 214 again. But this time, he had something in his hand. His mother made oatmeal cookies every Sunday, the only luxury she allowed herself. She'd pack one in Noah's lunch each day, wrapped in wax paper. It was usually the best part of his day. Today, Noah had saved his cookie. The door to 214 stood slightly open. Noah could hear the TV inside, some old western with gunshots and dramatic music. He took a breath, stepped forward, and quickly set the cookie on the little rolling table just inside the door. Then he ran like hell. The next day, the cookie was gone. Noah stared at the empty spot on the table, his heart doing a weird skip-jump thing in his chest. Mr. Porter had eaten it, or thrown it away, or fed it to a bird outside his window. But it was gone, and that meant something. He pulled another cookie from his pocket. He'd asked his mom to make extra this week, told her he was extra hungry lately, and set it on the same spot. This time, he didn't run fast enough. "Aha!" The voice exploded from the bed. "The little mouse returns." Noah froze, his hand still on the table. Mr. Porter sat propped up against his pillows, wearing a faded green robe over his hospital gown. His wild white hair looked even crazier in the afternoon light, and his eyes, sharp and blue as broken glass, pinned Noah in place. "You're the one leaving these things." Mr. Porter pointed at the cookie with a gnarled finger. "The gawker from yesterday. Thought I wouldn't figure it out." Noah's mouth opened, but nothing came out. His brain screamed at him to run, to follow his mother's rules, to be invisible, but his feet wouldn't move. "Well?" Mr. Porter's eyebrows rose. "Cat got your tongue, or are you just slow?" Noah's voice came out scratchy. "I thought you might be hungry." "Hungry?" Mr. Porter repeated the word like he was tasting it. "Kid, they feed me 3 times a day in this place. Force feed me garbage, but it's still food. You didn't eat yesterday." I saw. Something flickered across the old man's face. Surprise maybe, or anger. Hard to tell. "You spying on me now?" "No sir, I heard you yelling at the nurse, and then I saw the food was still there, and your hands." Noah stopped himself, but too late. Mr. Porter's jaw clenched. "My hands are none of your damn business." "I know. I'm sorry. I'll go." Noah backed toward the door. "Wait." The word stopped him. "What kind of cookie is that?" Noah looked down at the cookie wrapped in paper. "Oatmeal My mom makes them." "Oatmeal." Mr. Porter made a disgusted sound. "I hate oatmeal. Real men eat chocolate chip. You tell your mama that." But even as he said it, he reached for the cookie. His hand shook. Bad today, worse than yesterday, but he managed to grab it. He took a bite, chewed slowly and swallowed. Then he pointed at the door. "Now get out, and don't come back unless you bring chocolate chip." Noah ran, but this time, his chest felt lighter. His mom kept a jar of coins in the kitchen, emergency money for the laundromat. That night, after she fell asleep, he counted out enough for the bus and the grocery store. Chocolate chips cost $3.49. He had $3.67. The next day, his lunch bag was lighter without his sandwich, but the chocolate chip cookie wrapped in paper felt like gold in his pocket. At 3:30 p.m., he checked the clock 3 times to make sure. Noah knocked on the door of room 214. Yeah, come in already. Mr. Porter sounded annoyed, but when he saw Noah, his eyebrows rose. The mouse is back, and he learned to knock. Miracles do happen. I brought chocolate chip. Noah held up the cookie. Mr. Porter stared at him for a long moment. Then he gestured to the chair next to his bed. Well, you gonna stand there all day, or you gonna sit? Noah sat. The vinyl chair squeaked under him. What's your name, kid? Noah. Noah Carter. Carter. Mr. Porter rolled the name around. That's a good name. Strong. You live up to it. I don't know, sir. Jack. Call me Jack. None of this, sir, garbage. He took the cookie, managed to unwrap it without dropping it, and bit into it. Your mama can cook. I'll give her that. She works here. She's a janitor on this floor. Jack's eyes sharpened. That's so. Carter. Carter. He muttered the name again, like he was trying to remember something. She worked nights, 2 to 10. And you? I wait in the supply closet. Do my homework. The supply closet. Jack's face twisted. That, no place for a kid. Smells like chemical warfare in there. It's okay. I'm used to it. Used to it. Christ. Jack shook his head. How old are you? 10. 10 years old. Hiding in a closet, because your mama's gotta work. Jack took another bite of cookie. You got any siblings? No, sir. Just me and mom. And your daddy. Noah looked at his hands. He left when I was 4. Course he did. Jack's voice went bitter. Always the same story. Men forget what it means to be men. He finished the cookie and crumpled the wax paper. You go to school? Yes, sir. I mean, yes, Jack. You good at it? Math? Yeah, reading's harder. Reading's important. More important than math even. You can't read. People can lie to you. Can cheat you. You gotta be smarter than them. Jack pointed at the TV mounted on the wall. You know anything about baseball? Not really. Not really. Lord save us. Jack grabbed the remote and changed the channel until he found a game. Sit down, kid. You're about to get an education. For the next 30 minutes, Jack explained baseball like it was a military operation. He talked about strategy, about the Yankees dynasty of the 50s, about how these modern players are soft, wouldn't last a day in our league. He complained about designated hitters and pitch counts, and how back in my day, pitchers pitched 9 innings and liked it. Noah didn't understand half of what Jack said, but he listened anyway, watching the old man's face come alive, his hands gesturing wildly despite the tremor. When the clock hit 4, Noah stood up. I should go. Mom gets worried if I'm not in the closet. The closet. Jack shook his head. All right, kid, but you come back tomorrow, same time, and bring another cookie. I don't have any more chocolate chip. Then bring oatmeal. I lied anyway. I don't actually hate oatmeal. I just wanted to see if you'd come back. Noah stared at him. Why? Jack's expression softened, just a little. Because you did something nobody else in this whole damn hospital has done in 6 months. What's that? You saw me. Jack looked away, out the window at the parking lot. Now get out of here before your mama finds you. Noah left, but his chest felt warm, like he'd done something right for once. The next day he brought oatmeal raisin. The day after that, chocolate chip, then oatmeal, then chocolate chip. A pattern emerged. 3:30 p.m. every day. Noah would knock on room 214. Jack would grunt permission to enter. They'd talk about baseball, or Jack would quiz Noah on his homework, or Jack would complain about Nurse Jacobs, that fire-breathing dragon, and Noah would try not to laugh too loud. After 2 weeks, Jack made it official. You know what a quartermaster is, kid? Noah shook his head. In the Army, the quartermaster corps handles supplies, food, equipment, ammunition. Without them, soldiers die. It's the most important job nobody thanks you for. Jack pointed at Noah. You're my quartermaster now. Every day 15-30 hours, that's 3:30 p.m., you report for duty. Bring supplies. Got it, got it. Noah felt his chest swell with something he couldn't nail. Pride, maybe, or purpose. Good, now tell me about this math homework. What's the problem? Noah pulled out his worksheet, covered in red marks from his teacher. Fractions, I don't get them. Fractions are easy. Here, Jack grabbed a napkin and a pen from his bedside table. Despite the shaking, he drew a circle and divided it into pieces. Say you got a cookie. For the next 3 weeks, Noah's afternoons belonged to Jack. He learned about fractions through cookies, about geography through Jack's war stories, never Korea directly, but around Korea, about history through Jack's complaints about kids these days. He learned that Jack hated morning nurses, but tolerated evening ones, that Jack's hands were worst in the morning, that Jack had been in this hospital for 8 months and received exactly 0 visitors, that Jack's real first name wasn't Henry, like his chart said, but Jack, always been Jack, always will be Jack. And Jack learned things too, that Noah wanted to be an engineer someday, that Noah's mother worked 70 hours a week to keep their tiny apartment, that Noah had never been to a baseball game, or a museum, or anywhere outside the city, that Noah's favorite subject was actually history, not math, but he told people it was math, because smart kids are supposed to like math. That's stupid, Jack said, like what you like. Don't apologize for it. By week 4, the nurses noticed something strange. Jack had stopped yelling. Oh, he still complained. That was non-negotiable, but the rage had dulled to mere crankiness. He ate more, slept better. Even Nurse Jacobs commented on it, though she couldn't figure out why. Noah kept it secret. His mother's rules were clear. Be invisible. Don't cause trouble. Never bother patients. If she found out, she'd make him stop. So he was careful, always listening for her cart in the hallway, always ready to bolt back to the closet. It worked for a month. 4 perfect weeks of 3:30 p.m. reports to duty. 4 weeks of cookies, and conversations, and belonging to something. And then Nurse Jacobs walked in without knocking. It happened on a Tuesday. Noah had just finished telling Jack about his history test, 92%, his best score ever, when the door slammed open. Nurse Jacobs stood in the doorway, her face the color of a ripe tomato. She was a large woman, built like a linebacker, with iron gray hair pulled back, so tight it looked painful. Her eyes locked onto Noah, sitting on Jack's bed with a cookie wrapper between them. What is this? Each word came out like a bullet. Noah scrambled off the bed, his sneakers hitting the floor with a thud. His heart jumped into overdrive, his mouth going dry as dust. He's my guest, Jack started, but Jacobs cut him off with a raised hand. Mr. Porter, I don't recall authorizing any visitors for you. Her voice could have frozen fire. And I certainly don't recall authorizing a child to be in your room unsupervised. I don't need your authorization for anything. Jack struggled to sit up straighter. This is my room. I can have who. This is a hospital room in a medical facility, with strict hygiene and security protocols. Jacobs advanced into the room like a tank. And this child, she pointed at Noah like he was contaminated, has been coming here for weeks, without permission, without supervision. Do you have any idea how many regulations this violates? I didn't touch anything, Noah tried to explain, but his voice came out too small. You. Jacobs turned on him. What's your name? Noah's throat closed up. He couldn't speak, couldn't move. His name is none of your Jack tried to swing his legs out of bed, but a coughing fit hit him, hard. His whole body convulsed with it, his face turning purple. Mr. Porter, Jacobs grabbed his shoulders, easing him back against the pillows. You need to calm down. This agitation isn't good for your condition. Jack tried to speak between coughs, tried to defend Noah, but his body wouldn't cooperate. Each hack sounded like it was tearing him apart from the inside. You. Jacobs pointed at Noah. Out. No. And don't come back. Noah ran. He heard Jack trying to call after him, but the coughing drowned out the words. He sprinted down the hallway, past startled nurses, past a janitor mopping the floor, past his mother's supply closet. He didn't stop until he reached the stairwell, where he collapsed on the concrete steps and tried to catch his breath. His hands shook. His whole body shook. 10 minutes later, or maybe it was an hour, he'd lost track of time. His mother found him. Noah. Ellie's voice was tight, controlled, the voice she used when she was trying very hard not to cry or scream. "Come with me." She led him to the supply closet and shut the door behind them. In the dim light of the single bulb, Noah could see her face clearly. She'd been crying. Her eyes were red and puffy, and her hands trembled as she gripped his shoulders. "Director Henderson just called me into his office." Her voice cracked on Henderson's nip. "He told me my son has been sneaking into patient rooms, disturbing patients, violating hospital policy." "Mom, I wasn't." "Noah, please. Please just listen." She pulled him close, hugging him so tight he could barely breathe. Henderson said, "If it happens again, I'm fired." Not written up, not suspended, fired. The word hung in the tiny closet like a death sentence. "We can't afford that, baby. We can't." She pulled back, holding his face in her hand. Tears ran down her cheeks. "You understand? I know you liked Mr. Porter. I know he was nice to you, but we can't. People like him don't understand. People like us." "What do you mean?" She struggled for words. "I mean we're different, Noah. We don't get second chances. We don't get to bend the rules. One mistake and we lose everything. This apartment, your school, food on the table, everything. But Jack Porter is not our responsibility." Her voice went hard. "Our responsibility is survive. That's it. Nothing else matters." "But no buts." She squeezed his shoulders. "You remember the 3 rules." Noah's eyes burned. "Be invisible. Don't cause trouble. Never bother patients." "Say it again." "Be invisible. Don't cause trouble. Never bother patients." "One more time, Mom. One more time." "Noah." His voice broke. "Be invisible. Don't cause trouble. Never bother patients." "Good." She wiped her eyes with the heel of her hand. "Now you stay in this closet until my shift ends. You don't go near 214.
Yeah.
You don't go near any patient rooms. You understand me?" "Yes, Mil." She kissed his forehead and left, pulling the door closed behind her. The lock clicked. Noah sank to the floor, his back against the metal shelves. The chemical smell burned his nose, but he barely noticed. All he could think about was Jack's face during that coughing fit. Jack trying to defend him. Jack unable to even speak. For the next 3 days, Noah followed the rules. He stayed in the closet, did his homework, read his comics. When 3:30 came around, he'd stare at the door and force himself not to move. His mother had unlocked it after that first day. She wasn't cruel, but Noah knew the rule. Stay away. Sometimes he'd hear Jack's voice in the hallway, yelling for his quartermaster, asking the nurses where the kid with the cookies was. Each time Noah's chest felt like someone was squeezing it in a vice. The nurses' gossip filtered in through the walls. Their conversations during shift change carried through the thin door of the closet. "Porter's getting worse again. Won't eat, just like before. Throwing food at everyone. Thompson quit yesterday because of him. Maybe that kid was actually helping. Doesn't matter." Jacobs made it clear. No visitors. Period. On the 4th day, Noah couldn't take it anymore. It was 5:45 p.m. Shift change. The busiest, most chaotic time. On the floor, nurses clustered at their station, trading patient notes and complaining about difficult patients. Doctors made final rounds, their white coats flashing past doorways. His mother was on the 2nd floor. Noah had heard her cartwheels squeaking overhead 10 minutes ago. Noah pulled the cookie from his pocket, chocolate chip's favorite, and walked to room 214. His hand shook as he pushed the door open. The room hit him like a punch to the gut. It looked worse somehow, sadder. The afternoon light coming through the half-broken blinds cast strange shadows across the floor. The smell of disinfectant couldn't quite cover something else underneath, something sick and stale. Jack lay in bed, his eyes closed. He looked smaller than Noah remembered, thinner. His skin had taken on a grayish tinge, like old newspaper. An oxygen tube ran under his nose. That was new. The steady hiss of the machine filled the quiet room, punctuated by Jack's shallow breathing. Jack. Noah's voice came out as barely a whisper. Jack's eyes opened slowly, like it took effort. They looked cloudy at first, unfocused. Then they sharpened, landing on Noah. A smile ghosted across his thin lips. Well, his voice came out raspy, worn down like sandpaper. Thought you forgot about me, quartermaster. Never. Noah moved closer to the bed, each step feeling heavy. But couldn't come. Mom said, your mama's smart. Jack tried to wave his hand dismissively, but the gesture was weak, barely lifting off the blood. This is no place for you. You got your whole life ahead. Don't waste it on a mean old man. He's already used up his time. You're not mean, kid. I've made 3 nurses quit this month alone. Pretty sure that qualify as mean. You're just grumpy. That's different. Noah held up the cookie, trying to smile. I brought chocolate chip. Your favorite. Jack's eye is fixed on the cookie.
Ow.
His hand started to reach for it, fingers extending. Then it stopped mid-air. Noah saw it. The tremble had gotten worse, much worse. Jack's hand shook like it was caught in an earthquake, fingers twitching uncontrollably. I can't. Jack's jaw clenched so hard the muscles stood out in his thin face. My
hands today, they're not cooperating?
I can't hold it. That's okay. Noah pulled the chair closer to the bed and sat down. The vinyl squeaked under him. He unwrapped the cookie carefully, the wax paper crinkling loud in the quat. He broke off a small piece and held it up to Jack's mouth. For a long moment, Jack just stared at him. His eyes went bright and wet, moisture gathering at the corners, but no tears fell. His Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed hard. Then he opened his mouth and let Noah feed him the bite. They stayed like that for several minutes, Noah breaking off pieces, small enough that Jack wouldn't choke. Jack chewing slowly, his eyes closed like he was savoring every crumb. Neither of them spoke. The oxygen machine hissed its steady rhythm. Someone laughed at the nurse's station down the hall. A TV played in another room. Some game show with canned applause. When the cookie was gone, Noah crumpled the wax paper and set it on the bedside table. Jack's eyes were still closed, his breathing slightly labored. Jack, I'm awake, kid, just tired. Jack opened his eyes. You're a good boy, Noah Carter. Your mama raised you right. She should be real proud of you. I'll come back tomorrow, Noah said. Same time, 3:30. Sure, kid. Jack's voice was quiet. Tomorrow, but something in the way he said it made Noah's stomach twist into a knot. Jack. Noah hesitated. You're my best friend. Jack's face crumpled for just a second. His shoulders shook once, hard. He pressed his lips together and looked away toward the window, blinking fast. Drawer. Jack's voice came
out rough,
like he was forcing the words past something stuck in his throat. Left side. Open it. Noah pulled open the drawer of the bedside table. Inside was mostly junk. Tissues. Hospital pamphlets. A broken pair of reading glasses. But underneath, wrapped in a faded handkerchief, was something metal. Take it out, Jack said. Noah unwrapped the handkerchief carefully. A coin fell into his palm. Heavy, substantial, made of some kind of bronze or brass that had tarnished with age. It was about the size of a $50, but thicker.
On one side was engraved a military insignia,
a shield with crossed swords, surrounded by words. Noah squinted to read. Quartermaster chords, and supporting victory. On the other side were more symbols, and what looked like a serial number and a 1952. It's a challenge coin. Jack had turned his head to watch Noah, his eyes sharp despite the exhaustion. You know what that is? Noah shook his head. In the military, challenge coins are. They're special. You give them to people you trust with your love. Brothers and people who have your back when everything goes to hell. Jack's breathing was labored, each word an effort. That one's from my unit, Korea. Had 2 made after the war. Gave one to someone important. Kept the other all these years. Jack, I can't take this. You already did, kid. It's yours now. Jack tried to reach out, but his hand just trembled in the air. That's not charity. That's a trade. Fair and square. You gave me cookies. I'm giving you that. Deal. But it's worth what I say. It's worth, and I say, it's worth exactly one chocolate chip cookie, and 3 months of a kid, giving about a Jack's voice went softer. You earned it, quartermaster. Every man in my unit earned theirs. You earned yours. Noah closed his fingers around the coin. It was warm from being in the drawer, and surprisingly heavy. He could feel the engraved details pressing into his palm. Thank you, he whispered. Don't thank me. Just keep being you. The kind of kid who brings cookies to grumpy old men. Jack's eyes were starting to close again. The world needs more of those. Now get out of here before your mama skins us both. Noah backed toward the door, clutching the coin at the doorway. He stopped and looked back. Jack had turned his face to the wall. His thin shoulders shook, and the oxygen machine hissed faster, like Jack was trying. One skeletal hand reached up and covered his face. Bye, Jack, Noah said quietly. See you tomorrow. Jack didn't answer, just raised one shaking hand and a small wave. Still not looking at Noah, still facing the wall. Noah slipped out into the hallway and closed the door softly behind him. His heart felt strange in his chest, too big, like it was pushing against his ribs.
Oh!
The coin was warm and heavy in his hand. He walked down the corridor in a daze, past nurses who didn't see him, past other patient rooms with doors and his feet carried him to the supply closet automatically, muscle memory taking over. Inside, surrounded by the familiar smell of cleaning chemicals, Noah sat on the floor and opened his palm. The coin gleamed dully in the weak light from the single bulb overhead. He traced the engraved words with his finger. Quartermaster Corpse. Jack had called him that. His quartermaster, like it was an official title. Something important. Noah slipped the coin into his pocket where it settled with a comfortable weight. He'd keep it there. Keep it safe. Tomorrow at 3:30 he'd come back. He'd bring another cookie. Maybe oatmeal. This time, switch it up. Jack would complain about his choice but eat it anyway. They'd talk about baseball, or Jack would quiz him on his homework. Everything would be normal. Noah pulled out his math worksheet, but the numbers blurred. He kept thinking about Jack. Cease turned to the wall, about those shaking shoulders, about the way Jack's voice had cracked when he said, "You earned it." Something felt different, wrong maybe, or just sad. But Noah pushed the feeling away. Jack was just having a bad day. The hands thing, the oxygen, those were just temporary. Old people got sick sometimes, then they got better. That's how it worked. At 6:30, his mother came to get him. She looked tired, circles under her eyes. Ready to go home, baby? Yeah. Noah grabbed his butt. You okay? You look sad. I'm fine. He touched the coin in his pocket. Just They took the bus home. Noah stared out the window, watching the city lights blur past. The coin pressed against his leg through the fabric of his jeans. Tomorrow, he thought. Tomorrow at 3:30. He couldn't know that tomorrow, room 214 would be empty. That Jack would die peacefully in his sleep around 3 a.m. The night nurse finding him with an almost smile on his weathered face. He didn't know that the coin in his pocket was Jack's final gift, his goodbye disguised as "see you tomorrow." He didn't know that the last time Jack looked at him, that moment before turning to the wall, would be the last time those sharp blue eyes would see anything at all. Noah just rode the bus home, did his homework, ate dinner with his mom, and went to bed with the coin on his nightstand, close enough to reach if he woke up in the night. Tomorrow, he thought as he drifted off to sleep. Tomorrow I'll bring oatmeal cookies. Jack will pretend he hates them. We'll laugh. Tomorrow. The word felt safe, solid, like a promise. He had no way of knowing. It was a promise that would never be kept. Back in the present, Noah
in General Reese Sinclair's office and tried to understand what was happening. The office occupied the top floor of some downtown building. Noah had lost track during the elevator ride. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the whole city spread out below like a map. The afternoon sun made everything glow gold. The furniture was all dark wood and leather, the kind that probably cost more than his mom made in a year. Noah and his mother sat on a leather couch that was too big for them. They'd sunk into it when they sat down, and now Noah felt like a little kid, his feet barely touching the floor. His mother's hand gripped his so tight it hurt, but he didn't complain. General Sinclair sat across from them in a high-backed chair. He'd taken off his uniform jacket and rolled up his sleeves. Without all the ribbons and medals, he looked more like someone's grandfather, except for the eyes. Those eyes still looked like they could see straight through you. "I know you're confused," he said, "so let me start from the beginning." He picked up a tablet from the side table and swiped at it a few times. Then he turned it around to show them. The screen showed an old newspaper clipping, yellowed with age. The photo was black and white, a younger man in a suit, standing next to a massive ship. The headline read, "Porter Shipping Empire Expands to Pacific." Noah squinted at the photo. The man looked different, younger, stronger, more hair. But those eyes, is that Jack? Noah asked. Yes, Jonathan Porter III, though he went by Jack. Reese swiped to another image, a more recent photo, maybe 20 years old. Jack looking distinguished in a suit, shaking hands with someone important. At the time of his death, Jack Porter's net worth was estimated at $3.2 billion. Ellie made a sound like she'd been punched. His company, Porter Shipping, operates over 200 cargo vessels worldwide. He owned properties on 4 continents. He sat on the boards of 12 major corporations. Reese set the tablet down. He was one of the richest men in America. Noah's brain couldn't process it. Jack, his Jack, who complained about hospital food and wore faded hospital gowns. That Jack was a billionaire. "I don't understand," Ellie whispered. "If he was so rich, why was he in a VA hospital? Why didn't he have private care? A private room? Because he was hiding." Reese leaned back in his chair. Jack had 3 children and 8 grandchildren. "Want to know how many visited him in the 8 months he spent at St. Jude?" Noah shook his head. "0. Not one." Reese's voice went hard. They were too busy fighting over his money. Lawsuits, accusations of mental incompetence, attempts to get power of attorney. They hired private investigators to follow him. They planted stories in the media about his declining health. One grandson tried to have him declared legally insane. "That's terrible," Ellie breathed. Jack called them vultures, said they were waiting for him to die so they could pick his bones clean. Reese stood and walked to the window. So he decided to disappear. He checked himself into St. Jude's under his middle name, Henry, told everyone he was a retired veteran with no family, paid cash for everything, no insurance, no paper trail. He wanted to see if anyone would visit him just for him, not for his money. And no one did. Noah said quietly, "No one except you." Reese turned to look at Noah. "He mentioned you in every conversation we had for the last 3 months. The quartermaster, he called you, said you were the only person in that whole hospital who treated him like a human being." Noah felt his throat close up. His eyes burned. "But there's more." Reese walked back to his chair. Jack was also searching for something. Someone, actually. For over 60 years, he'd been trying to find the family of a man named Elias Carter. Ellie's hand tightened on Noah's. Her breath caught. Elias Carter was a private in the U.S. Army during World War II, Belgium, December 1944, during the Battle of the Bulge. Reese's voice went soft. Jack Porter was a 19-year-old second lieutenant, green as grass, got pinned down by German machine gun fire, should have died there in the snow. He paused, letting the words sink in. Private Carter was 22, Had no business going back for an officer, against orders actually. But he did. Dragged Jack to safety while taking 3 bullets in the process. Died 2 days later in a field hospital. Ellie made a sound like a sob. Jack held his hand when he died. Promised he'd find Carter's family, take care of them. But in the chaos after the war, records were lost. Carter's hometown was wrong in his file. His family had moved. For 60 years Jack searched. Private investigators, genealogists, DNA databases. Nothing worked. Reese walked to a cabinet and pulled out something heavy. An old military footlocker, olive green with stenciled letters. PVT, Carter. He set it on the coffee table between them. Until 18 months ago, when a woman named Ellie Carter applied for a janitorial position at St. Jude. Reese looked directly at Noah's mother. Background check showed her father was Thomas Carter. Grandfather was Elias Carter, born 1920 in Kentucky. Same Elias Carter, who died in Belgium. Ellie started crying, not loud, but steady tears running down her face. Jack knew the moment he saw your name tag. He'd been waiting for you. Reese opened the footlocker. Inside, nestled in old fabric, were medals. The Medal of Honor sat on top. Its blue ribbon faded but still beautiful. A purple heart, a bronze star, and a pile of letters tied with string. These belong to you, Reese said. Jack wanted you to have them. Your grandfather was a hero. Jack spent his whole life trying to repay the debt. Noah stared at the medals. His great-grandfather had saved Jack's life, and Jack had spent 60 years looking for them. There's one more thing. Reese pulled out a coin. It matched the one in Noah's pocket. Same size, same insignia. Challenge coins. Jack had 2 made after the war. Gave one to Elias before the battle. Kept the other. They were supposed to be reunited someday. Noah pulled his coin from his pocket. He set it next to the one from the footlocker. They were identical except for the patina of age. 2 halves of a whole. Jack left instructions for the reading of his will. Reese continued. For Ellie Carter, he's leaving $5 million in cash, he said. Reese consulted a piece of paper. He said it's for raising a boy who sees people, not wallets. Ellie sobbed harder. She covered her face with her hands, her whole body shaking. 5 million. Noah couldn't comprehend the number. There's more. For Noah Carter, he's leaving a trust fund. $10 million. Accessible when you turn 18. For college. For starting a business. For whatever you need. Noah felt dizzy. The room tilted. But the bulk of his estate, nearly $3 billion, is being divided between veterans' charities, hospitals, and a foundation in Elias Carter's name. His biological family will receive nothing. Reese's expression hardened. He made sure of that. They're going to fight it, Ellie said through her tears. They'll say we manipulated him, that he wasn't in his right mind. Let them try. Reese's smile was sharp. Jack prepared for that too. He had documents, videos, psychiatric evaluations. He made sure his will was ironclad. He paused. But I won't lie to you. There will be a battle. They won't give up billions without a fight. Are you ready for that? Noah looked at his mother. She looked back at him, her eyes red but her jaw set. Then she nodded. We're ready.
The legal conference happened a week later, but they moved it up from the court to Reese's office at the family's insistence. Noah didn't understand all the legal reasons, but he gathered it was supposed to be some kind of mediation before the court case. They'd come prepared this time. His mother had borrowed a dress from a church friend, dark blue, professional. She'd done Noah's hair and made him wear the button-down shirt she'd been saving for special occasions. They looked out of place in their borrowed clothes, but they stood tall. The door to the conference room burst open without a knock. 3 people stormed in like they owned the place. The first was a man in his 60s wearing a suit that probably cost more than Noah's mom made in 6 months. His face was red and puffy, his eyes small and mean. His thinning hair was combed over in a style that fooled no one. "Reese," the man's voice boomed. "What the hell is this circus?" Behind him came a woman about 10 years younger, wearing designer everything. Dress, shoes, purse, sunglasses pushed up on her perfectly styled blonde hair. Her face was pulled tight from what Noah guessed were plastic surgeries. Her lips curled in disgust as she looked around the room. The third person was a man in an even more expensive suit, carrying a briefcase. He had shark eyes, dead and cold, and a smile that made Noah's skin crawl. "Marcus Porter Jr., I presume," Reese said without standing. "And Brenda Whitmore. Thank you for coming." "Don't thank me. I'm here to stop this insanity." Junior's eyes landed on Ellie and Noah. "Who the hell are these people?" "These are Ellie and Noah Carter, Jack's beneficiaries." "Beneficiary?" Brenda spoke for the first time. Her voice was high and sharp like nails on a chalkboard. "Is that what we're calling gold diggers now?" Ellie flinched. Noah felt her hand tighten on his. The man with the briefcase stepped forward. "I'm Wesley Graves, attorney for the Porter family. General Sinclair, I'm sure you're aware that we're contesting this will. The entire thing is obviously the product of elder exploitation and undue influence." "Obviously," Reese said dryly. "A janitor?" Brenda's voice dripped venom. She stared at Ellie like she was something stuck to the bottom of her shoe. "He left $5 million to a janitor? Please, this is textbook manipulation." "She probably didn't even finish high school," Junior added. "Saw an opportunity and took it. Used her kid to prey on a lonely old man." Noah felt his mother shrink beside him. Her shoulders hunched. She looked at the floor. "Mrs. Carter," Graves said, his voice smooth as oil. "How many times would you say you visited Mr. Porter's hospital room?" "I didn't visit. I cleaned his room. That was my job. But you had access, daily access to a vulnerable elderly man." "I was just cleaning." "And your son?" Graves turned to Noah. "Young man, how many times did you visit Mr. Porter?" Noah's mouth went dry. "Almost every day. For 3 months. 3 months of daily visits." "Did Mr. Porter give you gifts?" "Just stories, and cookies sometimes. And the coin." "Ah yes, the coin. A valuable military artifact, given to a 10-year-old boy." Graves smiled. "That sounds like someone who understood the value of his possessions, doesn't it?" "It was a trade." Noah started. "A trade? Between a child and a billionaire? How convenient." Graves turned to Reese. "General, you can't seriously expect a court to believe this is legitimate. A woman in a position of power over a vulnerable patient uses her child to form an emotional bond. The patient, isolated from his family, suffering from declining mental health, makes sweeping changes to his will. This is elder abuse. It's criminal." "Jack wasn't sick in his head," Noah said. His voice came out louder than he expected. "He was smarter than anyone." "Noah," his mother whispered. "Don't know."
"Ooh!"
Noah pulled his hand free and stood up. His legs shook, but he stayed standing.
"He's wrong."
"They're all wrong." Brenda laughed. It was a cruel sound. "Oh, the child has an opinion. How precious." "You want to know about Jack?" Noah's voice cracked, but he kept going. "He was alone. Every single day. Alone." "Where were you?" "We called." Junior started. "You called once. At Christmas. For 5 minutes, he told me." Noah pointed at Junior. "He said you only cared about when he'd die so you could have his money." Junior's face went purple. "You little and you." Noah turned to Brenda. "He said you only visited once in 8 years, when you needed money for your divorce." Brenda's mouth opened and closed like a fish. "Jack couldn't hold a spoon. Did you know that?" His hand shook so bad he couldn't feed himself. "But none of you cared. None of you even tried to visit." Tears ran down Noah's face now, but he didn't stop. "I fed him. I sat with him. I listened to him. Because he was my friend, not because of money. I didn't even know he had money." "This is ridiculous," Graves began. "You're ridiculous," Noah shouted. "All of you. You didn't want him. You wanted him dead. And now you want to take everything just because we actually cared about him." The room went silent. Even Brenda had stopped talking. Junior's face had gone from purple to white. Graves looked like someone had slapped him. Noah's mother stood and put her hands on his shoulders. Noah, that's enough. No, Mom, it's not enough. He looked at General Reese. Jack gave me that coin because he said I earned it. He said I was his quartermaster. He said I was the best one he ever had. His voice broke, and I was proud of that. I still am, and they can't have it. They can have their stupid money, but they can't have Jack's memory. They don't deserve it. Ellie pulled him close. He buried his face in her shoulder and let himself cry. Really cry. For the first time since Jack died. Well, Reese's voice cut through the silence. I think that's quite enough for today. Mr. Graves, you can show yourselves out. My secretary will contact you about the court date. This isn't over, Graves said. We'll prove. You'll prove nothing. Reese stood and suddenly he looked every inch the general again. Because Jack Porter knew exactly what you'd do. He prepared for it. And you're going to lose. Junior, Brenda, and Graves left, but the venom in their eyes promised this was far from finished. The actual legal conference took place 3 weeks later in a downtown law firm. The conference room was all mahogany and marble, with a table long enough to seat 20 people. Cameras were set up at both ends. Everything had to be recorded. The Porter family came with an army. Junior and Brenda sat on one side with 3 attorneys, a forensic accountant, and a psychiatrist. They had stacks of documents, folders full of evidence, and expressions that said they'd already won. Noah and his mother sat on the other side with just General Reese. Noah wore the same borrowed button-down. His mother wore the same blue dress. They looked small compared to the Porter team's display of power and money. The mediator was a retired judge named Sarah Brennan. She had iron gray hair and a no-nonsense expression that reminded Noah a bit of Jack. She sat at the head of the table with a gavel she hadn't used yet. We're here to mediate a dispute regarding the last will and testament of Jonathan Porter III, Judge Brennan began. Mr. Graves, you represent the contestants. Yes, Your Honor. Graves stood. He looked even more shark-like in the formal setting. The Porter family is contesting this will on grounds of undue influence, lack of mental capacity, and elder exploitation. We have substantial evidence to support our claim. Present it. For the next hour, Graves laid out his case. He showed timelines of when Ellie started working at the hospital versus when Jack changed his will. He presented nurse testimony about Noah's daily visits. He had medical records showing Jack's deteriorating condition. Then came Dr. Harrison, the psychiatrist the family had hired. Based on my review of Mr. Porter's medical records and interviews with hospital staff, it's my professional opinion that Mr. Porter was suffering from dementia and depression. He was vulnerable to manipulation, particularly emotional manipulation through the use of the child. He wasn't sick, Noah whispered to his mother. Shh, baby. Graves then turned his attention to Ellie. Mrs. Carter, you're a high school graduate, correct? Yes, sir. And your annual income is approximately $23,000. Yes, sir. Mr. Porter left you $5 million. That's 217 times your annual salary. Quite a windfall. I didn't ask for it. The legal conference happened a week later, but they moved it up from the court to Reese's office at the family's insistence. Noah didn't understand all the legal reasons, but he gathered it was supposed to be some kind of mediation before the court case. They'd come prepared this time. His mother had borrowed a dress from a church friend, dark blue, professional. She'd done Noah's hair and made him wear the button-down shirt she'd been saving for special occasions. They looked out of place in their borrowed clothes, but they stood tall. The door to the conference room burst open without a knock. 3 people stormed in like they owned the place. The first was a man in his 60s wearing a suit that probably cost more than Noah's mom made in 6 months. His face was red and puffy, his eyes small and mean. His thinning hair was combed over in a style that fooled no one. Reese, the man's voice boomed. What the hell is this circus? Behind him came a woman about 10 years younger, wearing designer everything. Dress, shoes, purse, sunglasses pushed up on her perfectly styled blonde hair. Her face was pulled tight from what Noah guessed were plastic surgeries. Her lips curled in disgust as she looked around the room. The third person was a man in an even more expensive suit carrying a briefcase. He had shark eyes, dead and cold, and a smile that made Noah's skin crawl. Marcus Porter Jr., I presume, Reese said without standing. And Brenda Whitmore, thank you for coming. Don't thank me. I'm here to stop this insanity. Junior's eyes landed on Ellie and Noah. Who the hell are these people? These are Ellie and Noah Carter, Jack's beneficiaries. Beneficiary? Brenda spoke for the first time. Her voice was high and sharp, like nails on a chalkboard. Is that what we're calling gold diggers now? Ellie flinched. Noah felt her hand tighten on his. The man with the briefcase stepped forward. I'm Wesley Graves, attorney for the Porter family. General Sinclair, I'm sure you're aware that we're contesting this will. The entire thing is obviously the product of elder exploitation and undue influence. Obviously, Reese said dryly. A janitor. Brenda's voice dripped venom. She stared at Ellie like she was something stuck to the bottom of her shoe. He left $5 million to a janitor. Please, this is textbook manipulation. She probably didn't even finish high school, Junior added. Saw an opportunity and took it. Used her kid to prey on a lonely old man. Noah felt his mother shrink beside him, her shoulders hunched. She looked at the floor. Mrs. Carter, Graves said, his voice smooth as oil. How many times would you say you visited Mr. Porter's hospital room? I didn't visit. I cleaned his room. That was my job. But you had access. Daily access to a vulnerable elderly man. I was just cleaning. And your son? Graves turned to Noah. Young man, how many times did you visit Mr. Porter? Noah's mouth went dry. Almost every day. For 3 months. 3 months of daily visits. Did Mr. Porter give you gifts? Just stories. And cookies sometimes. And the coin? Ah yes, the coin. A valuable military artifact. Given to a 10-year-old boy. Graves smiled. That sounds like someone who understood the value of his possessions, doesn't it? It was a trade. Noah started. A trade. Between a child and a billionaire. How convenient. Graves turned to Reese. General, you can't seriously expect a court to believe this is legitimate. A woman in a position of power over a vulnerable patient uses her child to form an emotional bond. The patient, isolated from his family, suffering from declining mental health, makes sweeping changes to his will. This is elder abuse. It's criminal. Jack wasn't sick in his head, Noah said. His voice came out louder than he expected. He was smarter than anyone. Noah, his mother whispered. Don't. No. Noah pulled his hand free and stood up. His legs shook, but he stayed standing. He's wrong. They're all wrong. Brenda laughed. It was a cruel sound. Oh, the child has an opinion. How precious. You want to know about Jack? Noah's voice cracked, but he kept going. He was alone. Every single day. Alone. Where were you? We called. Junior started. You called once. At Christmas. For 5 minutes. He told me. Noah pointed at Junior. He said you only cared about when he'd die so you could have his money. Junior's face went purple. And you. Noah turned to Brenda. He said you only visited once in 8 years. When you needed money for your divorce. Brenda's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Jack couldn't hold a spoon. Did you know that? His hand shook so bad he couldn't feed himself. But none of you cared. None of you even tried to visit. Tears ran down Noah's face now, but he didn't stop. I fed him. I sat with him. I listened to him, because he was my friend, not because of money. I didn't even know he had money. This is ridiculous, Graves began. You're ridiculous, Noah shouted. All of you. You didn't want him. You wanted him dead. And now you want to take everything just because we actually cared about him. The room went silent. Even Brenda had stopped talking. Junior's face had gone from purple to white. Graves looked like someone had slapped him. Noah's mother stood and put her hands on his shoulders. Noah, that's enough. No, Mom, it's not enough. He looked at General Reese.
Jack gave me that coin because he said I earned it. He said I was his quartermaster. He said I was the best one he ever had. His voice broke, and I was proud of that. I still am, and they can't have it. They can have their stupid money, but they can't have Jack's memory. They don't deserve it. Ellie pulled him close. He buried his face in her shoulder and let himself cry. Really cry, for the first time since Jack died. Well, Reese's voice cut through the silence. I think that's quite enough for today. Mr. Graves, you can show yourselves out. My secretary will contact you about the court date. This isn't over, Graves said. We'll prove. You'll prove nothing. Reese stood and suddenly he looked every inch the general again. Because Jack Porter knew exactly what you'd do. He prepared for it. And you're going to lose. Junior, Brenda, and Graves left. But the venom in their eyes promised this was far from finished. The actual legal conference took place 3 weeks later in a downtown law firm. The conference room was all mahogany and marble, with a table long enough to seat 20 people. Cameras were set up at both ends. Everything had to be recorded. The Porter family came with an army. Junior and Brenda sat on one side with 3 attorneys, a forensic accountant, and a psychiatrist. They had stacks of documents, folders full of evidence, and expressions that said they'd already won. Noah and his mother sat on the other side with just General Reese. Noah wore the same borrowed button-down. His mother wore the same blue dress. They looked small compared to the Porter team's display of power and money. The mediator was a retired judge named Sarah Brennan. She had iron gray hair and a no-nonsense expression that reminded Noah a bit of Jack. She sat at the head of the table with a gavel she hadn't used yet. We're here to mediate a dispute regarding the last will and testament of Jonathan Porter III. Judge Brennan began. Mr. Graves, you represent the contestants. Yes, Your Honor. Graves stood. He looked even more shark-like in the formal setting. The Porter family is contesting this will on grounds of undue influence, lack of mental capacity, and elder exploitation. We have substantial evidence to support our claim. Present it. For the next hour, Graves laid out his case. He showed timelines of when Ellie started working at the hospital versus when Jack changed his will. He presented nurse testimony about Noah's daily visits. He had medical records showing Jack's deteriorating condition. Then came Dr. Harrison, the psychiatrist the family had hired. Based on my review of Mr. Porter's medical records and interviews with hospital staff, it's my professional opinion that Mr. Porter was suffering from dementia and depression. He was vulnerable to manipulation, particularly emotional manipulation through the use of the child. He wasn't sick. Noah whispered to his mother, "Sheb, baby." Graves then turned his attention to Mrs. Carter. You're a high school graduate, correct? Yes, sir. And your annual income is approximately $23,000. Yes, sir. Mr. Porter left you $5 million. That's 217 times your annual salary. Quite a windfall. I didn't ask for it, but you accepted it. Yes. Mr. Sinclair said it was what Jack wanted. What Jack wanted, or what you convinced him to want. Graves let the question hang. No further questions. Then he turned to Noah. This was worse. Noah, you visited Mr. Porter every day, correct? Yes, sir. Why? Because he was my friend. Did he give you things? He gave me stories. And time. What about the challenge coin? Noah's hand went to his pocket where the coin always sat now. He traded for it. Traded. So there was a transaction. You provided something, cookies, and received something valuable. That's not what it was. But that's what happened, isn't it? A pattern of exchanges. You give him attention. He gives you gifts. Your mother provides access. She gets That's called undue influence, Noah. Noah felt like he couldn't breathe. They were twisting everything, making it dirty and wrong. Judge Brennan looked troubled. The attorneys for the Porter family looked triumphant. Junior smirked. Brenda examined her nails. Then General Reese stood. Your Honor, I have one piece of evidence. He pulled out a tablet. Jack Porter anticipated every single argument Mr. Graves has made today, so he prepared a response. 6 weeks before his death, he tapped the tablet, and a video appeared on the large screen at the end of the room. Jack. Noah's breath caught. There he was, sitting in a chair in room 214. Not in bed, sitting up in a chair. He wore a clean button-down shirt. His white hair was combed, and his eyes were sharp and clear. A nurse stood visible in the background, and a timestamp ran at the bottom of the screen. If you're watching this, Jack's voice filled the room, strong and clear. It means my vultures are circling. Junior shifted uncomfortably. Brenda's head snapped up. Let me start with my loving family. Jack's expression was hard. Marcus Jr., you called me 3 times in 5 years. Twice to ask for money. Once to ask when I was going to die so you could sell my house. Junior's face went white. Brenda, you haven't visited me since your mother's funeral. That was 2003, 22 years ago. But you sent a Christmas card last year, so I guess that counts. Brenda's perfectly made-up face cracked. Tyler, Jack addressed someone not present. You told your friend at a bar that you wished I'd hurry up and croak so you could buy a yacht. I had a private investigator. I heard every word. The video. Jack leaned forward. Now they'll claim I'm senile, mentally incompetent, not capable of making decisions. So let me demonstrate my mental fitness. For the next 5 minutes, Jack recited his company's quarterly earnings. Exact numbers, completely accurate. He listed all 12 of his medications by generic name, and explained what each one did. He discussed current events, proving he was aware of the world. He solved a complex mathematical problem. He quoted Shakespeare, Hamlet's soliloquy, the whole thing, without stopping. Still think I'm senile. Jack looked directly at the camera. I'm 90 years old. I'm not stupid. Dr. Harrison sank lower in his seat.
Now let me explain something about St. Jude's. I checked myself in there by choice. Paid cash, used my middle name. I wanted to disappear. Wanted to see if anyone at all would visit me for me. Not for my money. Not for my connections. Just for me. Jack's voice softened. Ellie Carter never knew who I was. Never asked for anything. When her son started visiting, she told him to stop. She was scared of losing her job. That's the kind of mother she is. Puts her kid first, even when it costs her. On the video, Jack's eyes got bright. And Noah, that kid broke rules for me. Risked his mother's job. You know why? Because I couldn't hold a damn spoon. Because I was lonely. Because he saw an old man who needed help, and he helped. No expectations. No agenda. Just kindness. Noah felt tears running down his face. I knew who Ellie was. The moment I saw her name tag. Carter, same name as the man who died saving my life 78 years ago. Took me 6 months to confirm. She's Elias's granddaughter. The family I'd been searching for since 1944. Jack pointed at the camera. I found them. And you know what? They didn't know who I was. Didn't care about my money, because they didn't know it existed. That's why they get it. Because they didn't want it. His expression hardened again. To my biological family, you taught me that blood means nothing. Character means everything. You wanted my money. You got nothing. You wanted me dead. I died knowing you failed. Jack leaned back, and a small smile crossed his face. To Noah, I lied about the chocolate chip cookies, kid. I actually hate chocolate. Gives me heartburn. But I wanted you to come back, so I lied. You're a hell of a quartermaster. Best I ever had. He winked. And to everyone watching this, court dismissed. The screen went black. The conference room was silent. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Judge Brennan cleared her throat. Mr. Graves, do you have any further evidence? Graves looked like he'd been hit by a truck. Your Honor, we could argue that the video itself was made under duress. Counselor, sit down. Brennan's voice was steel. I've been a judge for 35 years. I've seen real victims of elder abuse. This isn't it. This is a man who knew exactly what he was doing, and why. Case dismissed. Your Honor, dismissed. She banged her gavel once. The will stands as written. Mr. Graves, Advise your clients that any further contests will be viewed as frivolous and may result in sanctions. Junior put his face in his hands. Brenda's mascara ran down her cheeks, tears of rage, not sadness. Dr. Harrison quietly packed his briefcase. The attorneys started whispering urgently among themselves. "All of you, get out of my sight," Brennan said. "Except you two." She pointed at Noah and Ellie. "Stay." The room cleared. When the door finally closed, Brennan's stern expression softened. "That man loved you both very much. I hope you know that." "Yes, ma'am," Ellie whispered. "Good." Brennan stood. "Use the money well. Make him proud." "We will," Noah said. And he meant it. The house smelled like fresh paint and new carpet. Noah stood in the doorway of his bedroom. His actual bedroom, not a corner of the living room, and still couldn't quite believe it was real. The room was twice the size of their old apartment's entire living space. He had a real bed with a headboard, a desk by the window for homework, bookshelves that his mother had already started filling with new books, and his old comics. The window looked out onto a backyard with actual grass, not concrete. Their new house sat in a quiet suburb 20 minutes from downtown. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a kitchen where more than one person could stand at a time. No mold, no cockroaches, no broken heating, no landlord who didn't fix anything. His mother had cried the first time they walked through it. "Happy tears," she said. Noah had never seen her cry happy tears before. "Noah," his mother's voice called from downstairs. "We need to leave in 20 minutes. Noah grabbed his backpack, a new one, not the one held together with duct tape, and headed downstairs. His mother stood in the kitchen wearing navy blue scrubs, nursing scrubs. She'd started classes at the community college 3 months ago, using some of the money Jack left her. Her dream had always been to be a nurse, but she'd never had the time or money. Now she had both. "You ready for the dedication?" she asked. "Yeah." Noah patted his pocket, feeling the familiar weight of the challenge coin. He carried it everywhere now. They drove to St. Louis in their used Honda. Ellie had refused to buy anything fancy, said it felt wrong. The hospital parking lot was crowded with news vans and TV cameras. A podium had been set up outside the main entrance, with a large banner reading, "Grand Opening Carter Porter Veterans Wing." The construction had taken 6 months, but it was done. A whole new wing of the hospital, funded by Jack's estate. Modern, bright, with large windows and comfortable rooms. Specialized in elder care and veteran services. Everything Jack's generation deserved but rarely got. General Reese met them at the entrance, looking sharp in his dress uniform. "Big day," he said, shaking Ellie's hand. "I'm so nervous I might throw up," Ellie admitted. "You'll do great." He led them toward the podium where Director Henderson was already speaking to the media. Noah tuned out Henderson's speech. The director was taking credit for the wing, talking about the hospital's commitment to veterans like he'd had anything to do with it. Noah watched Reese's jaw tighten. Finally, Henderson introduced Ellie. And now, the woman whose generous donation made this possible, Ellie Carter. The generous donation he'd tried to fire her over, Noah thought. His mother walked to the podium on shaky legs. She gripped the edges of the lectern, like it was the only thing keeping her upright. Noah had helped her write the speech, but he could see her hands trembling as she held the note cards. "Thank you all for coming." Her voice was soft at first, then grew stronger. 6 months ago, I was a janitor in this hospital. I worked 70-hour weeks to support my son. I never imagined standing here today. She told them about Jack. Not the billionaire, but the man, the patient who'd been alone, the friend her son had made, the connection that had changed everything. Jack Porter taught us that wealth isn't measured in money, it's measured in presence, in time, in seeing people for who they are, not what they have. She looked directly at the camera. "This wing is named Carter Porter because Jack believed in honoring those who came before us. My grandfather, Elias Carter, saved his life in 1944. Jack spent his whole life trying to repay that debt. Today, we continue that legacy." She announced the Carter Porter Veterans Fund, a foundation that would provide mental health services, housing assistance, and job training for veterans. Then she announced a scholarship fund for children of hospital workers, so kids like Noah wouldn't have to hide in closets after school. The crowd applauded. Cameras flashed. Noah saw his mother's eyes shine with tears, but she was smiling. After the ceremony, they toured the new wing. Room 214 had been converted into a reading room. Large windows let in natural light. Comfortable chairs clustered around low tables, shelves full of books and magazines, a small kitchen area for coffee and snacks. A bronze plaque hung on the wall, in memory of Jack Porter and Elias Carter brothers in arms. Not all debts are paid in currency. Noah ran his finger over the engraved letters. "You okay, baby?" His mother put her hand on his shoulder. "Yeah." He pulled the challenge coin from his pocket. The other coin, Elias's coin, sat in a shadow box frame at home, next to the Medal of Honor. "I just wish he could see this." "I think he can." They started the volunteer program the following week. Noah came to the hospital twice a week after school. Officially now. He'd read to patients, bring cookies, his mother baked, play chess, or checkers with anyone who wanted company. Other kids from his school joined. Emily, whose grandmother was in the Carter Porter wing. Marcus, whose dad was a veteran. Sarah, who just wanted to help. They called themselves the quartermasters. Noah's favorite patient was Mr. Chen, a 90-year-old Korean war vet, who reminded him of Jack in all the best ways. Grumpy on the outside, but with a dry sense of humor once you got past his defenses. "You remind me of someone, Mr. Chen said one day, while Noah was reading him the sports page. "Yeah, who?" "A kid I knew overseas. Always brought me cigarettes. Terrible for your health, but it was the thought that counted." Mr. Chen smiled. "He didn't have to be nice to me, but he was anyway." "That's what friends do," Noah said. At home, Noah spent hours going through the footlocker. He'd found Elias's letters home from the war, yellowed pages, careful handwriting, talking about hope and fear, and wanting to see his family again. He'd found photos of Elias and Jack together, two young men with their arms around each other's shoulders, smiling despite the war around them. Jack had kept a journal too. Reese had given it to Noah after the will was settled. Noah read entries from 1944 about Private Carter who doesn't know the meaning of fear, alongside entries from 2024 about the kid with the cookies who doesn't know his own worth. Jack had drawn the parallel himself, had seen something in Noah that reminded him of Elias, and somehow, that made Noah want to be better, braver, kinder. For his history class presentation on family heritage, Noah brought everything. Elias's uniform, carefully restored, the medals, the letters, the photos, the 2 challenge coins, and Jack's journal. He told the whole story, Elias saving Jack, Jack's 60-year search, the friendship with an old man who turned out to be a billionaire, the vultures who wanted the money, and the video that saved everything. By the end, his teacher was crying. Half the class was crying. The principal asked if they could create a permanent display in the school library. Noah said yes. The display went up a month later. Behind glass, Elias's uniform, the medals, the coins, photos, and a printed excerpt from Jack's journal. "Found a kid today who reminds me of Elias. Same heart, same selflessness. Maybe this is how debts get repaid. Not all at once, but across generations. I owed Elias my life. Now his great-grandson gives me something just as valuable, proof that goodness still exists in this world." One surprise came 6 months after the legal battle ended. Marcus Porter Jr. showed up at the dedication ceremony for the school display. He looked different, thinner, tired. He wore a simple suit, not the expensive one from before. He approached Ellie and Noah after the ceremony ended, his hands in his pockets. "Mrs. Carter, Noah." He nodded to each of them. "I won't take much of your time. I just wanted to say I'm sorry." Ellie tensed. Noah moved closer to her. "I was wrong about everything." Junior's voice was quiet. "My father, Jack, he was right about me, about all of us. We were vultures. We forgot he was a person." He pulled something from his pocket, a photo, old and faded. Young Jack in his military uniform, standing next to a young Marcus Sr., Jr.'s grandfather. He wasn't always hard. When I was a kid, he was different, kind. He used to take me to baseball games. Junior's voice cracked. I don't know when I forgot that. When money became more important than him. Why are you telling us this? Ellie asked. Because you gave him something we wouldn't. Junior looked at Noah. You saw him, really saw him, and I'm sorry I tried to take that away from you. He set a small bouquet of white roses on the display case, next to Elias's photo. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know. He turned to leave, then stopped. He talked about you, before. When I'd call, he'd mention the quartermaster. I thought he was losing his mind. Didn't realize he'd found something worth more than all his money. Junior left. Noah and his mother stood in the hallway, watching him go. Do you forgive him? Noah asked. His mother thought for a long moment. I don't know yet, but maybe someday. Life settled into a new rhythm. School, homework, volunteering, family dinners, where his mother wasn't too exhausted to eat. Noah made friends, real friends, not just kids he sat in class. He joined the chess club. He got A's in history, and improved in reading. But every Tuesday and Thursday, from 3:30 to 5 o'clock, he was at the hospital, in the reading room that used to be room 214, with whatever patients needed company. One Tuesday, almost a year after Jack died, Noah was reading to Mrs. Patterson, when Emily burst in. Noah, come quick. He followed her to Mr. Chen's room. The old man sat in his chair, holding something in his shaking hands. Kid, Mr. Chen said. I was going through my things, found something I thought you might want to see. He held out an old military photo. Two soldiers, arms around each other, grinning at the camera. One was a young Asian man, Mr. Chen. The other was a young black man. Noah looked closer at the second soldier. He had his great-grandfather's eyes. That's... Noah's voice failed him. Elias Carter, we served together. He saved my life too, kid. Took out a sniper, who had me pinned down. Mr. Chen's eyes were wet. I never knew what happened to him after Belgium. Just heard he died a hero. Noah pulled out his phone, and showed Mr. Chen the photos from the footlocker. The medals, the letters. They talked for 3 hours. Mr. Chen cried. Noah cried. Emily cried, even though she didn't really understand why. Your great-grandfather was a hell of a man, Mr. Chen said finally. And you're just like him. That night, Noah sat in his room with both challenge coins in his palm. One from Jack, one from Elias. Both passed down through generations. Both symbols of debts paid, and friendships honored. He thought about what Mr. Chen said, about being like Elias. He thought about Jack's video, about being the best quartermaster Jack ever had. He thought about his mother, finally able to sleep through the night, without worrying about bills, about going to nursing school, about being happy. And he understood something Jack had tried to teach him all along. Wealth wasn't about money. It was about who you were when nobody was watching. Who you were for people who couldn't give you anything in return. Who you were when being kind cost you something. The next Tuesday, Noah brought cookies to the hospital. Not store-bought, homemade, using his mother's recipe. He brought enough for every patient on the floor. What's all this? The nurse at the station asked. Quartermaster delivery, Noah said, smiling. Quarter what? It's a long story. He handed her a cookie. But the short version is someone taught me that small kindnesses matter, so I'm passing it on. As he walked down the hallway, distributing cookies and conversations, Noah felt Jack's presence. Not sad, not haunting, just there, proud. In his pocket the challenge coin was warm against his leg. In room 214, now the reading room, sunlight streamed through clean windows. The bronze plaque gleamed. And somewhere Noah was sure, 2 old soldiers were finally reunited, watching their legacies continue. Debts paid, not in money, but in something that lasted longer, in kindness.
In time, in seeing people for who they really were, in cookies shared on ordinary afternoons that turned out to be extraordinary after all.
Join us to share meaningful stories by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to start your day with profound lessons and heartfelt empathy.